should the CPO give us any offer as 8%, 9%, any single digit offer will be torn up and burnt. We believe that $1 billion is more than enough to satisfy the wages that has long been outstanding for public officers.
So then, why did you sign for 5%?
That's a very good question you have asked. And first of all, when I get the answer, I'll tell you.
You called the other unions dinosaurs, but they were able to negotiate for 9%. You claimed to be the best salesman, yet you had to go back and beg the CPO for 4%. Do you still think you can negotiate for the P.S.A?
I don't know.
Do you think you can run the P.S.A?
I can't say either.
Why should public officers give you another term in office?
I can't say.
Do you know anything at all, Mr. Duke?
No.
Well, top of the news tonight, the battle for possession of the P.S.A headquarters on Abercrombie Street in Port of Spain. This as members of the suspended P.S.A executive attempt to make good on their threat and take control of the union from the elected president, Watson Duke. The showdown came to physical attacks and police had to be called in.
Threatening to kill me? Watson, you threatening to kill me, boy? I want to embed this in the flesh. You want to do what? Embed this in the flesh.
I am Harold Murray, Chairman of the P.S.A. Real Rebels Foundation. The Real Rebels Foundation was born out of the week of the 2009 general elections, in which the new leader that we elected, and of whom much was expected, flattered to deceive. He failed miserably. An unprecedented level of maximum leadership style was exhibited, with scores of elected personnel being suspended for daring to question unpopular decisions of the executive and those of the president. The fundamental core of trade union was being eroded before our very eyes. Firstly, General Council members were being ordered to rubber stamp the actions of a now tyrannical and despotic leader. There was no regard for his actions, and it undermined the very principles that govern good industrial relations practices, and by extension, trade unionism. The entire General Council that defied the President's authority was replaced by his own hand-picked sycophants. Members did not escape the wrath of a now despotic and tyrannical leader, as elected portfolios were replaced by backdoor appointments. Occupational concerns were left unattended, and the general membership was virtually left to fend for themselves. Now, a group of like-minded individuals from within the public service, like myself, met and voiced our concerns as to the direction the association was headed. Ways in which to solve and deal with the problems at hand were discussed. We demanded that our president adhere to the spirit in which the constitutions ought to be followed. We faced the new General Council. We referred to the tenets of the Constitution. We sought redress in the courts. And at every turn, we got slapped in our collective faces. We now face the general membership asking for a mandate to bring the Public Service Association back to its former glory and beyond. So a plan of monumental proportions to save this great union for which those before us struggle was formulated. We established a structured base from which we built and continue to build. We went to the membership with our plans, ideals and ideas, and principles of good unionism. We began representing members where the current executive had neglected. Departments and ministries in corner spots of Trinidad were crying rural neglect. I thought they were forgotten. Members turned to us, therefore, in this time of need, and we accepted the challenge head-on. To compound this inefficiency and ignorance with regards to trade unionism, and in a complete reversal of the stated intentions, the President went against all advice. And in a questionable and unilateral act, accepted government's 5% wage offer, which saw public officers stunned. Dreams were shattered, and the groans of public officers could be heard across the land. Treason, they shouted. The message was clear. So the real rebels began spreading the gospel of true unionism and was being considered as the alternative, the change. We accepted the Herculean task to rebuild this union, to revive the spirit that drives us to be one with the other. We sought to renew the faith in the P.S.A. when all optimism was lost. Hope has finally come. And like the proverbial phoenix, we rose out of the ashes of a burnt P.S.A. and laid this nest of commitment before the doors of the Temple of the Sun. We began to look on the bright side. First of all, we embarked on constitutional reform in which we will guarantee that Dukism is erased forever. we sought to reintroduce the regional and brand system, which will give authority and responsibility back to the members in governing their own shop steward affairs and occupational concerns. Join with us. Join with us in this battle. Join with us in this revolution. Who has be a part of the revolution? Join the P.S.A. Real Rebels Foundation.
Good day, brothers and sisters, members of the P.S.A. My name is Goodridge-George-Mejias, leader of the Team Phoenix, a group being sponsored by the Rebels Foundation for the purpose of contesting the upcoming executive elections in the P.S.A. I come from the National Insurance Board. I'm proud to be associated with the struggles of the workers here that successfully defeated government's attempt to impose a 5% wage cap on public employees over the period past. I've also had a long association with the P.S.A, having served over the years 1993 to 1997 as an officer of the P.S.A. I'm happy to be in association currently with the Team Phoenix, spawned, as I indicated, from the Rebels Foundation, with whom I came into contact a couple of years ago. I was happy to come into association with a group that wasn't narrowly concerned with Duke as the be-all and end-all of the problems of the P.S.A. I was extremely happy to come into association with a group that was dedicated to the pursuit of a specified set of principles, as opposed to seeing the solution to problems in the P.S.A as the mere removal of Duke. That group, or movement as I would rather refer to it, considered that Watson Duke was but a symptom of a bigger problem. The bigger problem is that of government policy to maintain a low-wage environment. The bigger problem had to do with policies that promote privatization among sectors of the public service. The bigger problem had to do with the explosive growth of contract employment in place of the tenured employment that we have been accustomed to. Duke is a problem, yes, but only to the extent that he has been a facilitator of these greater problems. I was extremely elated to come into contact with a group of people for whom Duke, in terms of his management of the P.S.A, was still less a problem than the overall culture of union operation. For them, the real problem was not Duke, but Dukeism, a particular style of operation that locates the responsibility and authority for the management of the union in one man, a person who would declare what is to be and what is not to be, a person who would determine how far our negotiations will go and where and when it will end. Our aim is to correct and turn that state of affairs around. We aim, in place of Dukeism, to introduce an approach that is based on membership, ownership of the processes in the association. To do that, we recognize the need to reorganize the association on the basis of the branch system, thereby bringing the membership fully and completely into the picture, where they would be responsible, where they would have the ability to participate in the day-to-day management of problems and the generation of solutions to these said problems. In that regard, we look forward to a future with the leadership of the association by the Team Phoenix, where there will be a clearly developed collective bargaining policy, a policy that would focus on considerations of the movement of the cost of living when we set our objectives in respect of wages. Such a policy will be geared to the maintenance of the real income of public officers, so that whenever there's an offer of 5% or 9% even against the background of 27% rate of inflation, we would know that we are not considered something that could be accepted. Because to really protect the real income of public officers would require that we have a salary settlement that matches the rate of inflation. We aim, in the course of developing that collective bargaining policy, to take account of the obscene levels of inequality such as they exist in this country, where, for example, the wage share, as calculated recently, is 46% of national income. That is obscene when one considers that in several countries, including Denmark, Belgium, and others, the wage share is really of the order of 70%, 72% thereabouts. Team Phoenix, the name chosen symbolizing that mythological bird, aims to raise the P.S.A. out of its present condition of morass, of debacle, of despair and hopelessness. We aim to do as the bird, the phoenix represents, to bring about a resurrection of the P.S.A. What we aim to do is to lead the movement that lifts the P.S.A. out of the bacchanal of continuous contention that distracts from attention to members' urgent needs and the resolution of their problems. What we aim to do is to lift the P.S.A. and its membership out of their impecuniary condition brought about by settlements such as the 5%. We aim to put an end to the plunder of the union's finances. That is what we aim to do. In that regard, we consider that hope has finally come to the P.S.A. That hope resides not merely with the Team Phoenix, but with your participation. For that is the only basis of hope and guarantee of a brighter future. Thank you.
But we must keep going. We're feeling the pain. Yes, we keep holding strain, but we must keep fighting. Regardless of how it come, we just can't surrender. We gotta keep working towards a better future. We may never be always down and fighting to stay off the ground. We must remember our day will come. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hurt, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind this great cloud we're passing. Look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where we going. Oh. Yes, we going along the road, but we must keep going. Like if we commit a crime, and we keep serving time, but we must keep fighting. Remember they say that nothing lasts forever. One day is for the slave, one day for the master. So always keep your courage up. Don't allow confidence to drop. One day we'll be right here on top. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind this great cloud we're passing. Look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where we going. May be long and you keep falling down, but you must keep standing. It keep getting hot, like the pressure won't stop, but we must keep going. Everybody in life does have their little setbacks, but we just can't say that's that. Sit down and relax. Don't care what we go through today, surrender we must never say. Where there's a will, there is a way. And we appreciate the little life got to give. Regardless what's the hood, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind this great cloud.